To begin, honestly, this isn't even funny anymore. I'm actually feeling kind of sorry for Hillary Clinton. I truly think she has lost her damn mind. Not only does she have no idea what happened, but she's actually now thumbing her nose at the very people who are coming to get her.
This is such an abuse of power, and it goes right at the rule of law. If they send a signal that we're going to be like some dictatorship, some authoritarian regime where political opponents are going to be unfairly, fraudulently investigated, that rips at the fabric of the contract we have that we can trust our justice system.
That was Crooked Hillary's response to Attorney General Jeff Sessions weighing whether or not to appoint a special counsel to investigate the Uranium One deal and any suspected criminal business dealings that were connected to the Clinton Foundation. She's thumbing her nose at the idea, saying if Trump dared look into any of her past wrongdoings, he would just be a big old dictator. This is the very same woman who paid for the infamous Trump dossier, which was opposition research taken as fact to the FISA court in order to get a warrant that would grant her and the Obama administration the ability to surveil their political opponents. Oh my gosh, the irony is so rich with this one. Now, if the American public just needed any other reminder that the Justice Department has already been totally politicized and compromised, let's just look at the very laughable dealings they have had with Hillary Clinton herself. Let's start with former Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Now, she went out of her way to ensure that nothing would come of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private, unsecured email server, which she illegally used during her tenure as Secretary of State. Now, Loretta Lynch was supposed to be looking into this. And what does she do? She holds a secret tarmac meeting with Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill. But then, of course, Lynch never recused herself after this tarmac meeting in what was an obvious conflict of interest. But she did say, she'd step back and she would accept whatever recommendations the FBI director made about whether or not to bring charges in the case. Now, this is after Loretta Lynch had already assured the political director of Clinton's campaign that she wouldn't let FBI agents go too far in probing in this case. And she also coerced then FBI Director James Comey to start referring to the investigation as a matter, something that was much more politically demure in the eyes of the public. They weren't investigating, it was just a simple matter. So I'm sure none of this was political at all, even though it was rumored that had Hillary Clinton won the election, she would have kept Loretta Lynch on as Attorney General. So I'm sure there was no reason for the Clintons' old buddy Loretta Lynch to take the sides of the Clintons. But then, of course, there is James Comey. Now, months before the FBI had an opportunity to interview key witnesses in the Clinton investigation, including Hillary Clinton herself, months before this took place, James Comey is already drafting a letter exonerating and absolving Hillary Clinton of any wrongdoing. Now, interestingly, in an early version of this draft, we're learning, it included the statement that Clinton had been grossly negligent in handling classified materials. This is a term that would support a felony charge, but sometime later, FBI officials edited this statement before its release in July of 2016 to simply say that she was extremely careless and should not be criminally charged. Now, Comey has repeatedly insisted the investigation was handled through normal channels and in an entirely apolitical and professional way. Of course, that's not true. Did we ever expect that he was going for a real investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of that private email server when the FBI allowed key evidence to be destroyed in exchange for testimony? This was evidence that the FBI never even had the opportunity to look at. They didn't store any of the information. They allowed these key witnesses to smash their laptops and throw away the evidence before FBI agents even had the opportunity to conduct a thorough investigation. So we knew they were never going to get a fair shot. But if there was ever any doubt in the public's mind that the Justice Department was already heavily politicized when it came to the Clintons, heavily compromised with this entire investigation. Indeed, even the Uranium One deal, the very people who are investigating Russian collusion colluded with the Russians. So way back in 2009, the FBI had uncovered a Russian bribery plot under then FBI Director Robert Mueller. That's right, the special counsel who is now overseeing the investigation into Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. Right. Well, he is working with the FBI. They're uncovering this Russian bribery plot. The FBI is gathering substantial evidence that Russian nuclear industry officials were engaged in bribery, kickbacks, extortion, and money laundering. This was designed to grow Vladimir Putin's atomic energy business right here inside the United States. So they're looking at all this going on. They see that these nuclear officials have compromised an American trucking company, and they also know that Russian nuclear officials are supporting this scheme by funneling millions of dollars into the United States via charitable donations to the Clinton Foundation. And they also see that Bill Clinton is collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars in speaking fees from the Russians. So Robert Mueller is in charge of the FBI. They know all of this is going on, and the DOJ actually had enough evidence to bring charges in 2010. But they held off on that for 4 more years, which allowed the Obama administration to approve this sale of 20% of U.S. uranium to a company with ties to Moscow. But that's not it, guys. I mean, that's pretty bad, but that's not it. Robert Mueller, he's in charge of the FBI at the time this investigation is underway, but he's also sitting on the committee alongside Hillary Clinton that rubber stamped the Uranium One deal. What? So here he's sitting there, despite knowing about this Russian bribery plot, despite knowing about all of the millions of dollars being funneled to the Clinton Foundation, her husband collecting these exorbitant speaking fees. He's totally aware of all of this, but he goes ahead and sits on this committee, and they approve the sale of 20% of the United States uranium to a company with ties to Moscow. And it's all wrapped up in a nice little scandalous bow. The probe into Russian bribery ended in 2015 under then FBI Director James Comey, who of course was fired for being incompetent by President Trump. So this is all wrapped up in scandal and collusion, but Hillary Clinton, the same lady who said that not accepting the results of an election would be a threat to our democracy. Well, now she ironically wants us to believe that if President Trump dares investigate into any of her past wrongdoings, well, that would represent a politicization of the U.S. justice system and would be an unconstitutional abuse of power. Oh, that is rich. Listen to that double speak there, folks, and let it sink in.